Okay, good morning. So now the next one is about the skeletal system. In the first lecture, what we learned about the basic terminologies which are used in the anatomy, about introductory lecture on human body system. So what are the systems are there? What are the terms we are using for the anatomy? So they are example anterior, posterior, medial, lateral, like that. So now, as we discussed, so this we are going to study anatomy in the systemic wise. So now the first system is the skeletal system, and also this includes about the bones and the joints. Okay, next. So what are the objectives of this skeletal system? So what you are going to study here? So here we mainly studies about the skeletal system, how many bones are there, so what are the types of bones, so and then how these bones are classified, and what are the types of bones, and then in the joints, how many joints are there, so what are the types of joints, how these joints are working, and how the movements of our body, which movement is called. So again, so there are certain terms we are using for these movements. So that we'll study as the slides goes on. So here the components are the bones, joints, cartilages, and the ligament. So we all know about the bones and joint. So what are these? Cartilages and ligaments. These cartilages and ligaments, so I will just tell you general now. So these structures, they hold the joints and sometimes the bones together. So just it's a formal for the present slide. Okay, further explanation. So we are studying each part. So we will study the bones, joints, and we also study the, so what is cartilage and what is ligaments. Okay, so what are the functions of bones? So anyone knows? So you all know what is the function of. So this is from the you all know it's a very basic thing. Anyone knows what are the functions? Yes, it gives support. Very good. Yes, support means it's both. It gives supports to the body. And then don't see the slide and tell. Don't see the slide and tell. You tell your own. Okay. Because, okay, protections of our soft organs. Yes, protections. Storage. Protection, storage. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we'll go. So main thing is the skeleton. It gives the protection to our body. And the next another one. See, that's what I am telling you. Don't, you are telling all the what is there in the slides. Other than the slide. Other than the slide, what you know? That is my question. Other than these points, anyone knows any extra points? Okay, so let's have. So one thing is, we all know it gives support to our body. And other than support, it also gives the shape of the body. Yes or no? Gives us the shape. Yes. So it gives the shape of the body. So that's what in the introductory class also I was discussing. In one point I told, so if there is no skeletal system, so how the body will be? Our body will like a sponge ball. Just we can fold the body and keep it in your pocket and go somewhere like that. So that will be the situation. So if there is no skeletal system, so if there is no skeleton, so there is no proper shape to our body, and it gives protection to soft organs. I mean, so there are so many organs are there: lungs, heart, muscles. Okay, this gives supports to our body. Movement due to attached skeletal muscles passively. So it gives the motion or a movement to our body. It helps in so many movements, and storage of minerals. So bones are the main storage of the. So what is the storage in the bone? What material is there in the bone? Very good, very good. Bone is made up of, so it is the rich sources of calcium. And inside the bone cell formation, yes, calcium. Bone cell formation, how the bone cells are formed? Inside the bone, so that will inside the this point what I'm telling is very good. Calcium. This point I will tell you. Inside the bone, so there is another material, it is called bone marrow. This bone marrow helps in the formation of bone forming cells. Now, the skeletal system, it is divided into, mainly it is divided into two sections. Yes, bone marrow. Or it is divided into two parts. The one is the axial skeleton and another one is the appendicular skeleton. So what is axial skeleton? So axial skeleton means the long axis of our body. So the axis, so the bones which are present on the axis of the body. So here we are showing in this picture, we are showing the two colors. So here this one is the yellow color and the center one it has a red color. So this bones of the red color one, so these are belongs to axial skeleton. Okay, and the bones which are there on the yellow color, so these bones are the appendicular skeleton. Okay, next, which are the axial skeletal bones and the appendicular skeletal? Yes, red and yellow. So now in this slide, again the green color one, the center part, the bone axial skeleton, yes, blue one. Sorry, the blue one, the axial skeletal bones, they are skull. This is the vertebral column and the ribs. So that is sometime the whole thing is called rib cage, and individual bones they call the ribs. So which are the bones here? The bones are the skull, the rib cage and the vertebral columns. All these bones belongs to axial skeleton. And the rest, the appendicular skeleton, it has the muscles of the limbs. Sorry, no, not muscles, it's the bones of the limbs. So which they are? The bones of the limbs mean the limbs, they are the bones of the upper limb and the lower limb bones. Now, which are the bones? So now you know major classification, so major division, so that is axial and appendicular skeleton. And so any other bones are included in this? Yes, so there are so many bones. The axial skeletal bones, so basically we know about the skull, vertebral column and the ribs. So which are the other bones included in this? They are the skull or cranium, it is also called, and the mandible. So mandible is the separate bone here. Again in the vertebral column, so these yes, jaw, it is also called jaw. The vertebral column, further it is divided into another group. So there are cervical bones, thoracic bones, lumbar bones, sacral and coccygeal bones. All these together, it is called the vertebral column. Okay. Next one is the sternum and the ribs. Next, in the appendicular skeleton, we have the all these bones belongs to appendicular skeleton. So they are clavicle. So clavicle, so it is present, the bone which is present in the shoulder. Okay, so this again I will show you. And the scapula and the pelvic girdle, humerus, so it is the bone which is present in the arm. And the radius and ulna, so these are the bones of the forearm. Carpal bones, metacarpal bones and phalanges. So phalanges, the bones of the fingers and the toes. So that is the next is the femur. It is one of the strongest bone in the lower limb. The tibia, fibula, so talus, metatarsals, calcaneus and patella. So all these are, you have to remember all these bones. Okay. See here. So these are the bones which are. So where is the scapula here? So this is the here. This one is the clavicle, and here this bone is the scapula. So this bone is the scapula. You got it? This one is the center one is the sternum, and the so this part it is the vertebral column. So this vertebral column, it is further divides into set of bones. So cervical means the bones which are present in the neck. Okay. Thoracic means the thorax. The chest is also called the thorax. Okay. And the bones which are present belongs to thorax, they are called thoracic bone. And then the lumbar means here, this part, this area in the abdominal area, so that is called the lumbar area. The bones here, these are called lumbar bones, and this one is the sacral bone, the center one. So this is the sacral bone, and these small bones, they are the coccygeal bones. This is clear here. So further we have a different diagrams for individual bones also, that I will discuss. So for the time, because I will make a keep on repeating repeating some of the sentences. So that will help you to familiar with the terms. Okay. So if I tell only one time, so you will not remember. So that's why in whichever the whichever the slide contains any part, so that I will keep on repeating. Okay, okay, okay. So next, is the how the bone is made up of. How the bone is made up of, and what are the parts. We all know bone is there. So now in the beginning we discussed. So bone marrow is there. Yes. So now you should know. So where the bone marrow is present, and in the first lecture we know all the body parts are supplying by blood vessels, nerves. Yes. So how what they are, we will see in this slide. See here. What are the parts here? The bones have the periosteum, the compact bone, the spongy bone, and the bone marrow. So these are the four major parts of the bone. So what is periosteum? So periosteum, it is the outermost covering of the bone. So it is very sensitive. So it is the outermost covering of the bone where it is very sensitive. Some touches to your bone, wherever bone is, you can, wherever the bone is you feel. So like in the lower, so when you hit, so you'll have pain. It is very painful. So that is why, so this periosteum, it is very pain sensitive. So it is very sensitive for the pain. Okay, it is the outermost covering. Next, the compact bone. So what is compact bone? So compact, or sometimes it is also called the hard bone. Hard bone. So it is hard bone means the bone which we can feel. So whatever the hard part of the bone, it is there. So that is the compact. So it lies beneath the periosteum. So inside. So when you once you remove, so it is the periosteum. Below this, it is the compact bone. So next is the spongy bone. See here. So wherever the bone is very thick, almost all, when we take a section of bone, so there we have in the inner side, we have the sponge-like structure. So inner part, it is very smooth. So this part, so this is the part where the bone marrow is present. So this is the where the bone marrow is a present. So next, fills the gaps between the spongy bone. So where it is present? It is present in gaps. It is present in the gaps of the spongy bone. Do you remember? Just a minute. Next. So this part is clear here. The parts of the bones are the periosteum, compact bone, spongy bone, and the bone marrow. So where the bone marrow fills the gaps between the periosteum. So it fills the gaps of the periosteum. Okay. Next, how the bones are classified. So what in the beginning, so that so there is only bone marrow is a red and yellow bone marrow. So that for the time being, you don't worry about all those things. Yes, so that is correct. So bone marrow, it produces the cells, blood cells. It helps in the production of blood cells. Basically, it is in the beginning the bone marrow is yellow, and later on it becomes the brown. It becomes yellowish brown in color. Okay, it's clear. Next, so how do you classify? In the beginning, what we studied, so we know the major divisions of the bone. Yes, so they are axial and appendicular skeleton. So now the classification. So there are so many bones are there. So how many bones are there in our body? Anyone knows? Number? Yes, very good. Very good. 206. Total, there are 206 bones in our body. So classification, no, no, no. Yeah, I am asking how many total bones in our body. So forget about this long, short, whatever it is. So total, so the yes, very good. So there are 206 bones in our body. So these 206 bones, they are classified according to their shape, and the mainly these bones are classified according to their shape. So what are how they are classified? They classified the long bones, the short bones, flat bones, and the irregular bones. Okay. So now, which are the long bones? The long bones are longer than they are wider. Long, short. Yeah, all these are separate part. Long bones are separate, short bone is separate, flat bones are separate, and irregular bones are separate. Okay. So next, the short bones are so according to their shape, as we already discussed, according to their shape. So they are cube shape or sesamoid bones also. So sesamoid bones, so where they are present? They are present in the patella. So where this patella is? So patella, it is a bone which is present in the knee joint. Okay, I will show you. So short bones, yes, knee. Short bones, they are present in our wrist and ankles. The flat bones, thin, flat, slightly curved. It is not the exact flat. Somewhere the flat, straight, that like in the sternum, in the skull. You will also see the bones are flat, but they are not flat only. So they are flat and curved. They are flat. All these three characters are present in skull. Irregular. Irregular bones are, the shape is different. So irregular. Okay. See here. So these are the long bones. So long bones, they are present in arms, present in the arms and the legs. So that is the upper limb and the lower limb. And the short bones. So where these short bones? So they are carpal bones of the wrist. So these are these bones which are present in the wrist joint. The flat bones here. So this is the bone of the skull, and also the flat bone, it is present in the sternum. Okay, the irregular bones, they are the vertebral column. So they don't have a proper shape. See here. So this bone is, it doesn't have any proper shape. Okay. Yes, whatever it is, complicated shape, or you can tell what anything. So they don't have any proper shape. So that is the irregular bone. Next, see. Now you see the skull. So what you have in the skull? So there are 8 sutured bones in the cranium. So what do you mean by sutured? What do you mean by this word sutured? No, there are no words in the anatomy. You have to know the meaning of that. So super means, yeah, the bone of this color is different and this color is different. So this is for your understanding. It is called. It is like suture. Suture means zigzag. Joined, it is not, the bones are not joined in the straight line, so they joined in the zigzag manner. Okay, got it? And then there are the bones in the face. Here the bones of the face are the 13 suture bones and one mandible. So this mandible is the separate bone. So whereas all these bones are interconnected by sutures. Sutures means, so they are like this. This is the one bone, and there is another bone. So these bones, so these lines, the front of the bone, it is called sutures. This area, the meaning of suture. Okay. So there are another. What is that? Do we say this picture? So what do you mean? I am not getting you, doctor. Do we say this picture with all parts there? No, no. I will tell you the same things. You have to study in this introductory part. So we don't have detailed study about the skull. Okay. So the details of individual bones you will study in the next semester. So when you study about the head and neck. So here you just, how many bones are there? So what are the bones present in the skulls? Okay. So this is just for a being explanation. I am giving all these things. So just for interest. So how many bones are there in the skull? So this is called bone. Okay. And then this part is the nasal bone, and then so this is the maxillary bone, so this is the mandible. So like that, all the parts of, so there are, you are go again, you have to study the individual bones. So when you come in the next, that is in the head and neck. Okay. Next, here we are telling only the basic part. How many types of bones are there, how they are classified, and then which are the names of these major bones like that. Okay, vertebral column. So as I already discussed and I already told, so this vertebral bones, they are further classified to other groups. So which are these? These are cervical, thoracic, lumbar, the sacral, and coccygeal bones. The cervical means it is the bones which are in the neck. So that is called cervical. And how many thoracic bones? 12 thoracic bones. So these thoracic bones, so where they are present? They are present in the thorax. So that is in the chest. Okay. And the lumbar. So where the lumbar? So these bones. So how many lumbar? So there are 5 lumbar bones. 5 lumbar bones, they are present in the abdominal region. They are present in the abdominal region. And then the sacrum. So what is sacrum? So, so there is only one sacrum. So this part is called the sacrum. Okay. Can you see in this? Can you see there are small holes. So this sacrum is made up of 5. It is a fusion of bones. So 5 bones fused together to form one single bone. And then the coccyx, the 4 coccygeal bones. So these are coccygeal, they are very small bones. Yeah, in the lower back. So this bone is present in the lower back. That also you can see. Okay. Yes, lower back. Uh, shall we stop here? Or shall we continue? Okay. Next is the thoracic. Okay. After this, I will stop. Okay. When some are telling stop, some are telling continue. Okay. Okay. After this, I will stop. Okay. So there is a mixed opinion. Some are telling continue, some are telling to stop. Okay. Okay. Let's see what we'll do. Okay. So next is the thoracic cage. Thoracic cage. So this thoracic cage, when we study the individual bones of the thoracic cage, they are called, so these bones are called the ribs. All together it is called thoracic cage. The thoracic cage is made up of what all the structures, group of muscles involved here? The group of muscles are, so one is the sternum, ribs, the costal cartilage, and the thoracic vertebra. All these group of bones to form the thoracic cage. So how the thoracic, once again I repeat, thoracic cage is formed by group of bones. They are the ribs, thoracic vertebra, sternum, and costal cartilage. So that is the costal cartilage. All these structures together form a thoracic cage. So these bones of the thoracic cage, they are the ribs. The ribs further divided into 3 groups. Remember here, the ribs, they are into three groups. So that is the true ribs, false ribs, and the floating ribs. What are the three groups? That is the true ribs, the false ribs, and the floating ribs. What are true ribs? What are true ribs? True ribs are directly attached to the sternum. So what is meaning here? See here. The first 7 ribs. See carefully. The first 7 ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. See here. All these bones are directly attaching to the sternum, as well as in the back. You see this. You see how the bone is going. In the back, it is going and attaching to the vertebra. So this makes the complete attachment. So attaching to the sternum as well as to the vertebra also. So they are directly attached to the sternum. Directly comes and attaching to the sternum. Okay. Whereas the false ribs, how many false ribs are there? 8th, 9th, and 10th pair. So whenever you are telling the ribs, how many ribs are there in our body? You should not tell 12 ribs. Always remember, ribs has to be told in the pairs. How many ribs are there in our body? There are 12 pairs of bones. Always ribs have to be told in the pairs. Don't tell when you in the ribs. Don't tell in the single. Always tell in a pair. Okay. Next. So what is false ribs? False ribs. So they are 8th, 9th, and 10th. So what do you mean by false? They are not directly attached. They are indirectly attached to the rib cage. 8, 9, and 10. They are interconnected. First, they will form interconnection. See here, this 8th one. It is not actually see here. It is not coming and attaching to the sternum. So where it is attaching? It is attaching to the 7th, and the 9th one attached to the 8th. The 10th one attaching to the 9th. So all is together attaching to the thoracic cage. It is clear here. So what do you mean by true rib and the false rib? Okay. So now what is floating rib? The question arises. So floating means none of the structure in the body, the bones are floating. What do you mean floating? The floating means, so it has only one connection. Okay. So there are 2 pairs of bones. They are floating. So they are the 11th and the 12th pair of ribs. See here. So this is the 12th rib, and the above is the 11th one. So where they are attached only to the vertebra, whereas all rest of the bones, they are one or the other way attaching to the sternum. Whereas the 11th and 12th, they are not attaching to the sternum, are attaching only to the vertebra. Is there any confusion here in this slide? It is clear here? Okay. So you all know what is true ribs, so how the ridge is formed, what are the which are the bones forming the rib cage, and then the what is true. So what is false ribs? What is floating ribs? Okay. So next, these are the long bones. So this one is the lower limb. So that is femur and the bone of the upper limb. See here, almost. So why we are showing the bones together, the long bones of the upper limb and lower limb? The arrangement is same. In the arm, so it is there is one bone. So in the leg, it is one bone. So it is a bone of the. It is also called bone of the thigh. Okay. So this is the bone of the arm. So again in the forearm, and this is the leg. Okay. So you know the division of the upper anything. How you divide the upper limb? How you divide the upper limb? What are the parts of upper limb? Which is arm, which is forearm, and which is wrist? Anyone knows? Yes. Okay. Here. So this part here to here, this is called arm, and then from here to here, this is called forearm, and then so this is the wrist here. This part is the joint, or sometimes it is also called the palm. Okay, same as in the lower limb. So this one from here to here, this is the thigh, and from knee joint to ankle. Okay, so in common term, we will call whole thing is leg. In common terms for this thing, we will call arm. In common term, yes or no? Just in the common, hey, where is your hand? Where is your like that? Hand means we'll consider the whole thing. From hand means in the common term, we'll consider the whole. Leg means we consider as a whole. So when we divide anatomically, so it's different. So this is arm 4, whereas in the lower limb, so this part is called the thigh and this part is called the leg. So this is clear here, the division of the limbs. The arrangements of bones are here. So here in the upper part, so we have a one bone, and in the lower, so we have similar bones. And again, this is the same thing. So now we'll have a 10 minutes break. Okay, and then start about the joints. So is there any doubts till the previous slides? If you have any doubts, you just note it down. We'll discuss these things in after the break. Okay.